very much. I appreciate everybody taking the time to come. I know we have a little storm brewing down here. It's a big storm. Up our way, it's just a little dusting. So I just want to read a statement, then I'll take your questions. It's been a great honor to stand before you as the United States Senator from Massachusetts, and I want to express my gratitude and appreciation to many people, starting with my wife, Gail, who is here. Honey, thank you. To the Vice President Biden, I've always wanted to meet him, so I'm finally glad I had an opportunity. Obviously, Senators Kerry and Kirk and Leader McConnell, and so many other people have been generous with their time and their advice. I also want to make a special note to Senator McCain. He was one of the first senators who actually came out and supported me. I especially want to thank the people of Massachusetts who sent me here. I can't promise I will be right in every vote I make, but I'll be sure that I'll make mistakes from time to time. However, I always have tried to learn and grow, and I will do the very best job that I can, and on an everyday basis. My daughters, Ayla and Ariana, couldn't be here today. Ayla has a basketball game in about an hour against Duke, and my youngest has a test up at Syracuse. But I felt their presence. You may have noted the Bibles that I was holding were their Bibles that they received when they, in various stages of their lives. So it was nice to have them here in spirit. People have asked me why I wanted to get sworn in so quickly after the results had been certified. And the answer is pretty, there's no hidden agenda. The answer is pretty basic. I want to get to work. The Secretary of State had certified the results. We gave him initially a fair amount of time. He called the other day and said they were ready, so we felt it was appropriate to come down and start working. And there are a lot of votes pending that I would like to participate in. And even more importantly, there are urgent times for our nation. The President this week submitted a $3.8 trillion budget, and as you know, we'll have to borrow almost 40% of that because we don't have the money to pay for all the spending. And I am concerned that we're living beyond our means, and I'm hopeful that we can work together to try to come up with a strong and responsible budget. Also this week, the CIA director said that there will be another al-Qaeda attack here in the United States in the next 3 to 5 months. And obviously, this is frightening news. And we owe the people of America everything we can give them to make sure that we keep them safe from any type of attacks. And I want to be part of that. I want to have the opportunity to work on these very, very important issues. So I'm glad to be able to finally fully participate in the affairs that affect our nation. And I also want to extend my appreciation to all of you in the press. Some of you I know from back home, and I see many familiar faces, and I want you to know that I have a little connection, and I understand, obviously, that the work you do, and I've tried to accommodate each and every one of you. And at this point, I'll take your questions.
You talk about the fact that you have an independent voice and you will be independent-minded. Can you give us a specific example? You've had some time to think about it now since your election. A specific example of how you intend to reach out to Democrats on an issue where you think you can work with them and work with the president?
Well, I need to see what issues are coming up, obviously, and I know that I'm very thankful that the delegation was here. Stevie Lynch and Congressman McGovern is my congressman from Rentham, and I've worked very closely with not only Senator Kerry and former Senator Kennedy on many, many things, and to kind of pinpoint me now as to what I will and won't vote on when I haven't even seen the bill.
Beyond a vote, I mean, you now have the ability to offer legislation. Is there, whether it's health care or the economy or jobs or
Sure.
or energy?
Well, I think it's important, obviously, to look at the economy first and jobs, job creation, dealing with terrorism and taxation. People back home, I can tell you, were very upset at the amount of spending, not only in Massachusetts, but you couple that with the amount of tax dollars that are being spent and sometimes wasted. People are fed up, and they want the ability, at least for people to stop working behind closed doors, have some transparency to try to solve these very real problems. Allison?
On the topic of being an independent voice, you've been asked about don't ask, don't tell, and then Push said you really need to talk to the generals in the field. Isn't that precisely the kind of issue that you should be able to go out on a limb on? And you've been in the military for 30 years, and you have said you're an independent voice. Where are you on that?
Well, I don't think I was pushed. I was asked, in a Barbara Walters interview, my position for the first time on that. And I thought I answered it very clearly. I want to speak to the generals in the field to see what their feelings are. We're in 2 wars right now, and the top priority is to finish the job and to make sure that we do so, and to introduce social change right now. I want to rely on the generals in the field to see what their determination is. I'll go right here, and then right here, and then right here.
will you participate in a filibuster against Craig Becker, the National Labor Relations Board nominee?
Listen, I'm here. I'm going to vote on procedural issues, on nominees, on any type of legislation. I'm obviously getting a briefing material now. I'm going to look at everybody's qualifications and make my own decision. I have not been asked to do anything either way. Yes.
If I ask you about jobs and I guess deficit as well, the Democrats are working on a jobs bill. Are you going to be working on it? Have they talked to you? They reached out to you yet? The reports are it's about an $81 billion bill. Are you concerned? Well, what's the bigger concern, adding to the debt right now or getting a jobs bill?
Well, the last stimulus bill didn't create one new job, and in some states, the money that was actually released hasn't even been used yet.
It didn't create one new job?
That's correct. We lost, another 85,000 jobs again, give or take, last month. In Massachusetts, it hasn't created one new job, and throughout the country as well. It may have retained some, but it hasn't created any new jobs. I need to see what's in the bill.
I was wondering if you had a chance to look at President Obama's new budget, the $260 billion in taxes on small businesses, and where you stand on that kind of a heavy hand with small business.
Small businesses are the economic engine that are going to create jobs. And I've called throughout the campaign, and I've felt this way forever, that you need an across-the-board tax cut, almost a JFK-style tax cut for businesses and families to put more money in their pockets, a payroll tax deduction, to take what we're dealing with in Massachusetts, and many of you are not there, sales tax, meals tax, hotel tax, beer tax, increase potentially on gas tax. They're going to put a chip in your registration and maybe have a mileage tax, and then you couple what the federal government's trying to do. It's getting to the point where people are just fed up and they want some type of relief. I have said publicly that I support the president's attempt to do targeted tax relief, but everybody's affected and everybody needs immediate relief. And there was right here a question, then we'll go right here.
The Secretary of State of Massachusetts, Galvin, said that he asked for you, or he called on you to respect the rights of the majority in terms of Obama's nominations. Do you have any response to that particularly?
I have to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure what he meant by that.
Senator, the last time the Republicans had 41 votes, which was about a year ago or so before Arnold Specter left the party, the way things worked in order to get the 60 votes was that the Democrats would put together a bill that had the support of just about their entire caucus, and then they would go looking for one or two Republican votes to push it over the limit. Just as a matter of principle or idea, do you mind being among one or two Republicans to push a Democratic bill over the line as long as you like the bill?
Bottom line is there needs to be more communication between both parties, because the main theme during my election and the thing that I heard from the electorate in Massachusetts is they're tired of the backroom deals, they're tired of the bickering, they want people to solve their problems. While we're talking about what people may or may not have said and we're dealing with things that aren't important, we have terrorists that are trying to kill us, not only in our airports but in our shopping malls. We have people that are losing their homes, they can't afford to put food on their table. There are very real problems that we're dealing with, and if I see a bill that is good for my state first, and I don't care where it comes from, if it's good for Massachusetts first, I'm going to look at it and consider it. And I've always worked across party lines to solve problems. I have a history of almost 6,000 votes doing just that. And I'm looking forward to analyzing each and every bill and then making a decision when it comes up.
Procedurally, do you mind being the 60th vote?
Well, I would be the 41st vote. I wouldn't be the 60th vote.
Senator Brown, to follow up on David Drucker's question, I think much has been made that you're going to be the 41st vote against health care reform. And I'm wondering, now that you're up here in D.C., do you see any room for bipartisan negotiations?
I'm hopeful that there'll be bipartisan negotiations. That's part of the problem. The fact that it was always 60-40, 60-40. And in Massachusetts, we passed a health care bill that was bipartisan, people working in the same room trying to solve these very real problems. And I've always said publicly that everybody deserves a basic form of health care. But the one-size-fits-all, especially when states like Massachusetts are going to be subsidizing Medicaid, for example, for Nebraska forever, and you look at what we already have, it's not perfect, and then you show what potentially would be coming down the pike from the federal government, it just wasn't good for Massachusetts. We need to basically go back to the drawing board and start again, and I'm looking forward to being part of it. I'll take one more question right there.
Senator Brown, in your opening remarks, you said the new budget would be financed with 40% debt, and just a few moments later you advocated for more tax relief. Which is more important for you, assuming that tax relief would have to be funded with more borrowing? Is it deficit reduction or is it job creation through tax cuts?
Bottom line is, when you offer tax reductions and tax cuts, there will be more people with more money in their pocket, and that will naturally create more jobs. And I know in my state, one of the biggest problems that the companies and individual sole proprietorships are having, they don't know, between the overregulation, between the high taxes, between the out-of-control spending in our state, they don't know whether they're coming or going, so they're basically stuck in almost quicksand. So we need to, I'm looking forward to determining what's best. I'm looking forward to seeing the bill and analyzing it.
You willing to finance that with future debt? Those tax cuts with future debt?
I don't consider tax cuts being a problem for stimulating the economy. I think it's the answer. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, everybody.
Where's the truck?
Coming down next week.